We saw the hand slowly lift out the guts. We saw the kid's eyes focus on it. We even saw 2 frames of the kid beginning to blink.
Oh my fucking god.
Remember what this had to do with SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
This is why I watch Cartoon Network.
They probably got some bad shit on Cartoon Network too, just saying. You know how Adult Swim can be. Anyways, continue.
Adult Swim is actually funny. They wouldn't do anything like this.
Yeah, this is... Right. Oh my god.
The lead sound editor told us to stop. He had to call in the creator to see this. Finally, they call someone in.
Okay.
Mr. Hillenberg arrived within about 15 minutes. Stopwatch. He was confused as to why he was called down there, so the editor just continued the episode. Once the few frames were shown, all screaming, all sounds again stopped. Squidward was just staring at the viewer, full frame of the face, for about 3 seconds. The shot quickly panned out, and that deep voice said, "Do it." And we see in Squidward's hands a shotgun. He immediately puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger. Realistic blood and brain matter splatters the wall behind him and his bed, and he flies back with the force.
Holy shit.
Okay, alright. For some reason, I really want someone to make, like, a GIF animation in, like, SpongeBob cartoon, not hyper-realistic, but, like, SpongeBob cartoon style of Squidward doing that.
Why?
I feel like it could be kind of funny as a joke. But not, like, hyper-realistic.
No, not the hyper-realistic part, no. People have probably done the whole thing.
Because I want to know what a shotgun like looks like in SpongeBob style animation, because that's something you'll never see. Like, what does that? I just want to see a picture of that, honestly.
The last 5 seconds of this episode show his body on the bed, on his side, one eye dangling out of what's left of his head above the floor, staring blankly at it. Then the episode ends. Mr. Hillenberg is obviously angry at this. No shit.
Mm-hmm.
He demanded to know what the heck
what
was
did you
going
do to my
on.
sponge?
Exactly. Most people left the room at this point, so it was just a handful of us to watch it again.
Why?
Viewing the episode twice only served to imprint the entirety of it in my mind and cause me horrible nightmares. I'm sorry I stayed. The only theory we could think of was the file was edited by someone in the chain from the drawing studio to here. The CTO was called in to analyze when it happened. The analysis of the file did show it was edited over by new material. However, the timestamp of it was a mere 24 seconds before we began viewing it. All equipment involved was examined for foreign software and hardware as well as glitches, as if the timestamp may have glitched and shown the wrong time, but everything checked out fine. We don't know what happened, and to this day, nobody does. There was an investigation due to the nature of the photos, but nothing came of it. No child scene was identified, and no clues were gathered from the data involved, nor physical clues in the photo. I never believed in unexplainable phenomena before, but now that I have something happen and can't prove anything about it beyond anecdotal evidence, I think twice about things. So, there we go. There was our fun little romp into our first Lost episode creepypasta.
Which is more morbid than Jeff the Killer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think of this fun little romp?
Well, the first one I want to say, and I know I'll be called ridiculous by some of the comment section for saying it, is could they just use something else aside from hyper-realistic all the time? Like graphic detail or something like that, instead of just saying hyper-realistic the entire time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it gets redundant after a while if everything is the same exact look.
Yeah.
I mean,
we just keep calling it hyper-realistic.
To its credit, I think this is what started hyper-realistic, like the whole, hyper-realistic. Like, I don't think that was really a thing before this.
It probably was. I think it was something in the animation community before this. I remember hearing about it before I heard
Well, I know it
anything about
existed,
this.
but I mean, like, it didn't exist as a whole creepypasta thing before this one.
Oh, yeah.
And it started a terrible trend.
The trend of hyper-realistic blood.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what the main problem with this is. One, other than being like completely out of left field disturbing. Because when you think of something called Squidward Suicide, you expect it to be more about Squidward and not odd images showing up in a animation reel. But I
Yeah.
think the thing is that it's the same thing with Sonic.exe. Is it relies on something from your childhood and like basically like putting teeth on it and hoping you find it scary, because like they do that in movies. Like if you put teeth on something, like it's scary now, you know. And some things, granted, it is, but other things it's just not. Like if you put teeth on a car, like just a big plasticky fake looking teeth,
It
that's
becomes
not scary at
hard.
all.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing here. It's like, here's something you enjoyed as a child. Now we made it slightly disturbing. It's scary now. Ooh, and then
Yeah.
everyone just over exaggerates it and makes it this big scary thing. Like, oh, it ruined my childhood. Oh, I'm so afraid of SpongeBob now. It's like, this
Like,
isn't
the
scary.
thing that I don't understand of this is, after the first image that showed up on screen, I'm
Why
not
do they keep
sure
watching it?
exactly why do they keep watching it. Why did they not
Why
call
did
someone
people
down? Why did they
stay
not call the police?
in time? Like,
That's
Why
a
did they
good
watch it a
point.
second time? Yeah.
What was the point of the second viewing?
like, I really need to just like double check this. Like,
Like, did we
I
all just
need
take some
to make sure I
hallucinogenics,
wasn't
or
crazy.
I said
We all
before.
hallucinated the same exact thing? I don't think that's possible.
I said before that this creepypasta was sexist. It's not. It's like women empowering. The only woman in the room was the only one who had the sense to leave right off the bat.
yeah?
Exactly.
Now, something that makes this one a little more disturbing in hindsight was, so, as we all know, SpongeBob SquarePants, the actual television show, has gone a little off the deep end. Get it?
Yeah.
Water jokes. It's not good anymore.
Yeah, and like with the recent SpongeBob movie, I haven't seen it myself, but I already know from what I've seen, like from the trailers and all of that, that it's not that good.
Actually, I've heard it's
It
pretty
did have
good.
Slash in it, though.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Slash from Guns N' Roses is in one. At least in one of the trailers. His part might
but,
have gotten cut.
Uh,
yeah.
That was still awesome.
No, so that movie actually, I heard that movie was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I
Like all
heard it was
things
alright.
considered. But what's really kind of disturbing about this one is they have touched on the topic of suicide in later SpongeBob episodes. Um, there are two instances, and neither of them are handled well. So the first one actually has nothing to do with Squidward. The first one is called One Course Meal. And what it has to do with is it has to do with Mr. Krabs discovering that Plankton has a fear of whales. And so he dresses up like Pearl, and he literally stalks Plankton dressed up as Pearl, torturing Plankton to the point where Plankton is literally laying out in the road waiting to get run over.
wow.
And then Mr. Krabs ends up winning in the end. It's like,
Now, how do
whoa.
you make that funny, kids? You make it funny if he gets hit by a car. Comedy 101.
Yeah,
Goodness.
exactly. But it's just, they didn't.
I
It
want to
was
see
like,
that.
Like he gets hit by the car but survives. That would be
Yeah,
yeah,
kinda
yeah, he's just got like skid marks on him.
like, yeah, skid marks and
Uh,
ends up in the. I know it's not a funny thing. I know
but
it's
like,
very morbid, but still skid marks and then ends up in a full body cast at the hospital. Like, curse you, Mr.
yeah.
Krabs.
Or like
that'd
the
be
one
funny.
episode where it was like the wishing well and Squidward threw the quarter in the wishing well. He's like, I wish to be as far away from here as possible. He gets smacked by the bus and it's like carrying him on the front.
Oh
It
God.
says going very, very far away.
But
uh,
something else even more kind of interesting about this is there was later an episode called Are You Happy Yet? And it had to do with Squidward not knowing about, like, Squidward not being able to come up with a happy memory. And so he actually becomes, like, really depressed by this, and SpongeBob tries to help him, but he can't because things keep going wrong. And then there's actually two really like really insensitive suicide jokes where like first off there's a couple actually. So SpongeBob goes to check up on Squidward and he sees that Squidward's house is completely a wreck, like nothing has been maintained, like the tap's been left on, everything's flooding. But
Wow.
so he uses Gary to climb up to like the top of the window and he sees Squidward in there and he like closes the curtains and SpongeBob says, "At least we know he's alive."
Jeez.
But then two more
wow.
things is Squidward. You see Squidward inside his house, and like he's like got like 5 o'clock shadow, like scraggly like type thing going on, and he's like got bags under his eyes, and he's wearing like a robe. And the first one is kind of easy to miss, but he reaches into a oven to pull out brownies, but the way he reaches in, it looks like he's sticking his head in the oven. And when it gets pointed out, it's kind of obvious, and there's no way it's not that. But even worse is it goes to a scene in his room where he tosses a rope up and like has it hanging down, and he says something about how he just can't seem to get happy, only he pulls up a bird cage. But it's not even funny. It looks like he's gonna hang himself.
Good God.
And I was like, "Oh my God." So, and that's a real thing. That's a real life creepypasta. So it's like, whoa.
But this was written before those episodes aired, right?
Yes.
So the show actually made it slightly scary in retrospect, but that doesn't show any merit of the actual story.
Yeah.
It was just a coincidence in favor of it.
Well, coincidence, but there are some theories that at least the latter episode was inspired by the creepypasta.
Good God.
That would be interesting.
And, like, again, the logic of some of the people in creepypastas escapes me. Like, for example, in here, how they see the first image of the dead child, and it's like, somebody call the cops? 'Cause we've got some weird shit here.
Like, it's like, hey, Jim, grab the popcorn. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Dude, I love when animation ends up like this.
What the fuck?
Like, what if Stephen Hillenburg had come in? It's like, oh yeah, oh wait, no, I've never seen that in my life.
What?
Wow.
Huh?
Oh,
What's this doing?
Like,
What?
okay, so everything was edited 24 seconds before they got the thing, and
Yep.
nobody knows who had it within those, like, past few minutes before they had the, like, footage itself. Which I'm guessing would be on a VHS tape or some shit. I don't know. Like, maybe a CD or something.
I don't think we're talking that ancient, Bryce.
Wow, come on. It's
We're
not
not
that
talking-
ancient. I was watching VHS up until, like, what?
Yeah.
6 years ago?
2005, VHS times, right? Like,
There was still VHS stuff back then.
Well, there was
There-
like DVDs with VHS players on them, but they weren't really being produced anymore.
yeah.
Like, people still use them because it wasn't until like 2003 they had actually outsold DVDs, but they were obsolete.
You mean they outsold VHS, not DVDs, because DVDs are still selling.
That's what I was meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
DVDs outsold VHS.
All right, so we've established the problems. There are a lot of problems. And Aaron sort of touched on what makes this good. What good things do we find in this creepypasta? The silence is just great.
Nothing. There was no good part of it.
Well, I'll give
Yeah.
it its credit, and this is something where a lot of these creepypastas come from. Is the imagery is really good.
Yeah.
Like, aside from just like hyper realistic, like when it gets into detail, it gets into like gruesome detail, and that's something like when you let your imagination
like
think
the,
about
the
it. it's
child blinking in those 5 frames. Only those
Yeah.
5 frames, and one of his eyeballs is out. It's like, oh, he's still
Yeah,
he's
it's
still alive
relentless.
after being that mangled. Oh God.
that child
It's-
deserves a medal.
Wow.
It's tasteless and relentless, but at least the imagery is kind of okay.
Yeah. And it's another one of those things where it's like it touches on your childhood and it sort of destroys that in a way. So, yeah. And honestly, when I first read this, like when I was back in my young days of being a creepypasta noob, I was scared by it. Like this scared me.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it to me and mentioning at least like one of the things where it was like one frame they saw the dead kid and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
holy
and
shit.
I think anything that can really like get me scared, I think at least succeeds in some aspect. Good
But
written
did it
story?
scare you now in looking back on?
Not as much. No.
So, final verdict, guys. So bad it's good?
Just
Mm.
bad.
Yeah, it's kind of bad.
I
mean-
didn't really enjoy it at all.
Yeah, it's got a couple good points, but it's no Jeff the Killer.
Yeah, it's no Jeff the Killer. I will give it that. It's got a few good points in the fact that it's its actual gruesomeness and detail, and its story itself, along with the grammar, let's not forget, is actually better than Jeff the Killer.
That's very
But
true.
not by a lot.
Not by a lot, but it was written way better than Jeff.
And honestly, I think this story is at least somewhat more believable than Jeff, because Jeff is sort of a story about how a 12-year-old becomes superpowered because of
13
bloodlust.
becomes super powered because of bloodlust, doesn't
Whereas
go
this is just sort of
blind,
a story
and
about a
doesn't
corrupted,
get infected.
like there are plenty of like actual like lost episodes of things, nothing to this degree, but this is like something at least a little more realistic, or at least
Yeah.
it's told in a way that's a little more believable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say overall better written than Jeff, but probably less enjoyable if you're looking for something that's bad in a funny way.
And taking all of that into account, I say, in all honesty, I want to be neutral on this one, but it's sort of bad. It's sort of bad, but it's still a little bit good in some
Now-
aspects.
Here's
I'll tell you what, it didn't ruin SpongeBob for me. I'm looking at SpongeBob gifs right now. This is hilarious. This is the first thing I did is I googled SpongeBob gifs, and it's wonderful.
well, actually,
Imagination.
we had to go through such fun little weird stuff there. I do have something far more magical to share with you guys. So if we want to go ahead and end this episode.
Yeah,
We can-
yeah. We'll end this one off here, and we'll start up another episode soon. So yeah, this has been So Bad It's Good, Squidward's Suicide. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as we did, because wow, that was something.
And remember to keep your flip phone stopwatches with you at all times. This
So this has been Bakuop,
has been Brad.
This has been Aaron.
and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Go watch SpongeBob.